Welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the stress workshop. Actually, I like to call it the de-stress workshop. I actually probably should stop calling it the stress workshop because the big joke in my office yesterday while I was adjusting patients is, did I manifest a stressful week for everyone? But then you come to think of it, it's end of the year. You know, the weather here is freezing. So a lot of people are getting sick. Get your adjustments, take your vitamin D. And just people are busy. It's Christmas shopping and holiday things and holiday parties, and this is such a great time to stop right now, take a deep breath, and just for the next hour or so, or probably less, we're going to talk about ways that we can stop or like take care of our stress and take care of ourselves because we really need to this time of year. I think this workshop I've always had at the end of the year for that reason because it's a really stressful time of year for everybody. So I'm here today to, give you some more tools in your tool belt. Now, the funny thing, this workshop, I look at it every year and I go, oh my God, I just love this workshop. The message doesn't really change. The slides don't change a lot, except for maybe the books I recommend. But, these tools you may have forgotten you had in your tool belt. Maybe they were collecting dust in the bottom of the toolbox. So it's time to, wipe that dust off tonight. We'll talk about some cool tools. Some of the stuff I say tonight, it's really not new information, but it's important to remember. I was joking that this workshop is actually for me tonight. I think I'd make that joke every year. But if you guys want to hang out and listen, I am happy to present it to you and we can talk about ways to deal with our stress during the holiday season. All right. So you guys ready to go? All right, let's dive in. So the first thing we're talking about is stress itself. So my question to you guys is, what is the key to never having stress ever again? Well, that's just not going to happen, right? There's just no such thing. Stress happens, right? We get into some very strange things happen. This is the year of the snake, and we talked about that during the New Year's workshop. Oh my gosh, we should go back to the New Year's workshop and see how I presented that. And this is such a full circle. And I think if you weren't affected by the year of the snake, I think everyone right now, a lot of my friends are going through these insane transitions that maybe they didn't think they were going to, whether it's a breakup or friendship loss or death in the family or job loss. It's just really strange. I feel like if the year of the snake didn't hit you, it's hitting you now. There's some kind of rebirth, you're shedding skin. But the good news is, and I love seeing this in a lot of horoscopes and Zodiac right now, the worse the year of the snake you had, the better the year of the horse, which is next year, which is how we push through and full steam ahead. So let's talk about stress. So where are we going with this workshop? We're going to talk about stress, baby. It's still cool. I don't care what you say. Preventing unnecessary stress and how to cope with it. So there's really only three big goals today. So what is stress? How preventing stress that's unnecessary, which I think we all can do, and of course, how to cope with stress when it actually happens, because there are definitely things that happen to us that just there's no control over, and how to manage that and not let it consume you. All right, so what is stress exactly? Now, of course, let me put my science geek glasses on. Stress is a stimulus, right? Um, that perturbs or interferes with your normal physiology. So we always talk about stress like it's a bad thing, but really is it? Because if stress didn't have a purpose, why would we have it in our body? It was funny, actually. Oh my gosh, was it you guys? Monday we were talking about one of my patients. Or maybe it was a patient. I thought it was at dinner. We were talking about the man who climbed Half Dome with no ropes because he's very famous, and if someone remembers his name, you can throw it in the comments. But I knew the name because I was like, oh yeah, dude has no part of his brain that deals with fear. He's known for that. We actually have studied that. I remember it coming up in one of my like dorky neuroscience books, right? Where this man was born, and it's some of the spectrum disorders, we actually see this where the fear part of the brain just isn't developed. So the man has no fear. Is that safe? Is it good to have no fear and run in the middle of Rantoul Street and get hit by a car? Is it smart to like touch something that's hot because you don't have fear? You can get injured. So fear is the stress response is a good thing. We're supposed to learn from it. It's supposed to prevent us from getting into trouble. And one of my favorite professors, I think you guys have heard me say this a million times, my favorite physiology professor used to say, if you don't understand something, go back to when we were cave people, because that's what we were meant to be. Stress response was if a bear attacks us, we have to fight or flight, right? If we're in our cave, we're out of danger. That's when our body resets. But were we ever supposed to sit in traffic? Were we ever supposed to have deadlines? Were we have this chronic stress? Probably not, right? And actually, we'll say not. Because the fight or flight system, I love going over this. So when I teach chiropractic seminars, I love going to the fight or flight response. or sympathetic nervous system. They now say it's fight, flight, or freeze. And actually, women are more tend than men, but we're not going to go there for the sake of keeping this workshop nice and simple. So, sympathetic nervous system activates. That's your I see a bear, I need to attack it, which, by the way, the bear analogy does not work in Michigan. I got some major laughs when I was going over the slide in Michigan, talking about the fight or flight. And I said, well, come on, guys. A great example is if a bear attacks you. And then I looked at my audience in Michigan and I go, oh, this is not a good example in this state. They all hunt bears and stuff like that. It's totally different than Massachusetts. So unless you're from Michigan, don't use that example, obviously, there. But it's all about cortisol. And I know you guys at home have heard about cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone. And of course, it's got a really bad rep when it comes to long-term cortisol. It is not good for you long-term. It prevents weight gain. It screws with female hormones. It can be very bad long-term. But short-term, it's really good to get us out of that situation where a lion's attacking us or someone's attacking us, that fight or that stress response. So first of all, cortisol, why is it so important, right? When it comes to short-term stress, because glycogen is now thrown. So we're throwing sugar, glucose in your bloodstream. So you have that quick energy to get away from that bear, to fight that bear. That's why sometimes when you're in fight or flight, you feel like, oh my God, I'm ready to go. Let's go, that adrenaline mode. That's that sugar in the bloodstream, right? That's what cortisol does. But it's also not good. Think about it for diabetes, obviously. So chronic, of course, cortisol is not good for diabetes because the sugar in the bloodstream. Heart rate, heart rate's increased, blood pressure's increased, duh. It's like something's attacking you. How about your lungs? Oh my God, it's attacking me, right? It's gonna get short and shallow. We gotta get that oxygen going. Digestion, you digesting your food when you're stressed? I'm not going to say this is your homework because I don't want any of you guys doing this, but dump some spiders in your bathroom and tell me how you're going. I know, I just horrified Meredith. I know, terrible, right? But are you going to the bathroom when you're in fight or flight? No, because digestion is actually a really big energetic process, and we don't want to waste that when we're in survival mode that we're supposed to only be in it short term. So long-term stress is horrific for digestion. We know that, and among other things, increased sweat. We know all that. So it's good for short term, right? And like I just said, cortisol, right? Cortisol is a stress hormone. And like I said, it kind of has a bad rep because we all have too much, like we all are in cortisol mode, as I like to call it, too much. So it's our stress hormone. Now, short term, it's great. Burst of energy we just talked about because the glucose in your bloodstream. You have a quicker short memory function, which I guess maybe that's why people cram before their exams. You get a burst of immunity, but not long term. You're less sensitive to pain. We've all been there, right? I've definitely been there. I sprained my ankle and had no idea until I got home, right? We hear this all the time. I broke my arm. I went home. I thought I was fine. I woke up and I couldn't move my arm. Holy moly. Fight or flight, dumb. It calms your pain down, which is good because it gets you away, quote unquote, from that bear. Long term, not great, right? Your brain suffers from cortisol, from long-term stress. You don't need a doctor to tell you that. We all know long-term stress is horrible. Even PTSD shrinks our prefrontal cortex, not good. It suppresses your thyroid, which we know we need for just about everything, for metabolism, your blood sugar imbalance, think diabetes, bone density, not great for your bones, high blood pressure, lower immunity long-term. We know this. And what's interesting about cortisol is we call it, I saw on the internet calling it cortisol face, where you store fat, which is really interesting. So when someone has a lot of cortisol, you'll see they don't look like they're overweight except right here. It's like that midsection belly fat, which is also very common with diabetes. I guess they're kind of hand in hand, so that would make sense. So we're going to start with our first secret word today. You'll see where I'm going. You always see where I'm going with my secret words. So those watching at home, our first secret word is Christmas. Yes, I know I celebrate Hanukkah, but bear with me for this. Christmas is your first word. You'll see where I'm going. Awesome. All right. So let's dive into our next section, which is how to prevent stress. So this is just preventing unnecessary stress. Like, first of all, we're going to talk about how keeping your stress lower for your better health, obviously. So let's talk about nutrition, talk about outlets. Let's talk about financial and relationship stress. But later we'll talk about adjustments. Obviously, adjustments are really good for preventing it, but we're going to talk about that at the end. So how do we keep stress lower for our better health? Because we just learned that long-term cortisol is not good. Your fight or flight's only supposed to last like 15 minutes. It's not supposed to last longer than that. So we're going to talk about how to stop that. So I'm going to start with, actually, I do recommend her book. It's amazing. Sheryl Sandberg was second in line at Facebook When it's option B is probably one of the best books. If you guys know the Frady's family, they're amazing people. They're Beverly people. Like they live in our town, and I love Nancy. I'm so glad I've got to know her. Her husband was in our Rotary Club, and they have just such an incredible story with Pete. And the ice bucket challenge was their challenge. It's pretty amazing to see where that's gone, and the awareness for ALS. So what am I trying to get at? Nancy recommended, when I asked her what books inspired her, she said Sheryl Sandberg option B, which is a great book if someone's ever been through loss. It's a really great book. Sheryl Sandberg, this poor lady on vacation with her husband, lost him. He died on a treadmill in on vacation, and it's her, how she got through it. It was her coping mechanism. This book was how she healed and how she was able to get on with her life and go back home. She had 3 kids, and it's a beautiful book. If anyone in your life has lost somebody or you've lost somebody, this is an incredible book to help you through that. And this is one of my favorite quotes from it. It says, to be resilient after failures, we have to learn from them. I mean, Jesus, we all need to hear that, including myself. Most of the times we know this, we just don't do it. We are too insecure to admit mistakes to ourselves, or too proud to admit them to others. Of course, they always say admitting it is the first step, right? So great book. And actually, I have it at the end of my book recommendations. The nutrition workshop, I believe, is up on YouTube. So if you have any questions about nutrition, that is the appropriate workshop. I'm not doing an entire hour on the slide, but let's just go through it really quick. I am going to say this without a doubt, 100%, what you eat can make your stress worse and because of your inflammation or not. Everything, what you eat in your gut is so impacted to your brain, is so connected to your brain, that what you eat can absolutely affect your health and your brain. And we'll go over why in a second. But if you don't think that, and you think that your Cheetos is actually making you feel better, it is not. And I can prove that. But it actually can really contribute. If somebody is depressed or anxious, look at their diet, look at their gut, get them adjusted. It is huge. To think otherwise is idiotic. We know without a doubt that what you eat, what you put in your body, if you're eating a lot of fast food, processed food, high inflammatory foods, it's going to destroy, it's going to affect your brain, and it's going to make you more anxious. So giving your brain what it needs is so important. So omega-3s, I mean, Jesus, your brain's mostly fat. Omega-3s is an anti-inflammatory fatty acid, because omega-6 is the opposite. So if you're eating a lot of seed oils, you're really out of balance. You have high inflammation, horrible for your brain. Omega-3s, especially after concussions, it is one of the big recommendations, is taking high dose omega-3. It is so important. I do a whole section on that in the nutrition workshop. Eat enough, lean protein. So I love grass-fed meats, nuts, fruits, veggies, things that are not inflammatory. Limiting the whites. Whites are inflammatory in our body, also in our brain. So, flour, sugar, dairy, and alcohol. Obviously, if you love those things in moderation, but just remember, sugar and dairy are very much addictive. Dairy has casein, which is super addictive. That's why it's really hard not to eat cheese. And then sugar obviously is very addictive as well. So, cutting them out or keeping them in moderation is important. I just talked about processed foods. And of course, your antioxidants to eliminate the free radicals, ACE, especially this time of year. Vitamin C is so important for immune system. Drinking more water, eliminating things like sodas, high fructose corn syrup, those sugar blasts. Your body does not need to know what to do with high fructose corn syrup. Great way to give a kid ADHD, give them a soda, give them dyes and sugar, high fructose corn syrup. It just wrecks your brain. So please eliminate that, or drink water instead of soda. And also, it saves you the calories. Horrible for you, horrible for your brain. So I know I'm not vanilla anymore. It's really funny. I remember the day I used to be more like, oh, just eat in moderation. No, if you want moderate health, eat in moderation, right? Especially if you already have issues of stress and anxiety, don't eat to make it worse. But also probiotics and magnesium. Magnesium's interesting. Magnesium is something that we're really deficient in, and it's so important to not only calm down your muscles. So muscle cramps is a huge sign of magnesium deficiency. I went to a lecture once where they think it has to do with our cell phone use. I don't know enough about that to really lecture on that. But magnesium glycinate is your best bet for a magnesium that you can absorb. If you find yourself waking up at night a lot, that's a magnesium deficiency. Also really good for your brain. It's just like magnesium. That's why the magnesium salt baths, oh, they just calm you down. It's so good for you, good for runners, just for tight muscles, muscle cramps. It stops that. And then probiotics. So we're going to talk about probiotics. There's an entire section on this in the nutrition workshop. So I'm going to go through this quickly. If you want to watch the nutrition workshop and hear more about that, go to our YouTube page and you can see that. But what I'm trying to get to with probiotics, this is your gut, right? You have, what is it, 10 to 1? Yes, it's 10 to 1 bacteria to human cells, your bacteria in your gut. That's why I always laugh when people are, they're like, oh God, germs, oh God, germs. I'm like, dude, we are outnumbered. If they really wanted to kill us, they would, right? But we need good germs. We need like the good bacteria in our gut. And because our water's chlorinated, because everyone's been on too many antibiotics, there's so many reasons, C-section kids, there's so many reasons we don't have healthy guts anymore. And because we don't have healthy guts, it's impacting our brain. So they call the gut the second brain because you have a lot of neurons. It's crazy, second to your brain. Obviously, your immune system is important. It's important to make vitamins. It decreases inflammation, et cetera, et cetera. But the one thing I really want you guys to understand from the slide, this is directly from the nutrition workshop, is 80 to 90% of your serotonin, which is your happy hormone, is made in your gut. And what's really interesting is when you have anxiety or depression, what does a medical doctor put you on? SSRIs, serotonin drugs like Prozac or Paxil. What they're doing is they're putting serotonin back in your body and they're calling it a brain chemical balance. But if 80, 90% is going on in your gut, shouldn't you be looking at your gut first? And you always see GI issues linked with depression, anxiety. It's a bad two-way street, right? Bad gut, bad anxiety, depression, bad gut. So you got to break that cycle. And a probiotic and trying to stay off antibiotics as best as you can, eating fermented foods really can help with that. There's a really great book. I don't know if I put it up here called The Brain Maker. And it's by Dr. Perlmutter. He talks all about it. It's a little techy, but it's really wonderful. And we talk more about this during the nutrition workshop. A really good sign of an unhealthy gut, well, yes, IBS, which I always think is funny. Of course, your bowels are irritated. Can we just find out why? But foggy brain, depression, fatigue, senior moments are definitely it could be a gut thing. So looking at our guts are so important for all of these things. Eczema, oh my, if you want to help a kiddo that has eczema, put them on probiotics and stop giving them antibiotics all the time. It's pretty amazing. You'll see that actually go away. In holistic medicine, we say if it's not coming out one way, it's coming out the other. And so eczema, usually you see constipation and eczema go hand to hand in kids. Get them adjusted, get them on a probiotic, and it's pretty amazing what happens. See, Dr. Perlmutter, Brain Maker, I was ahead of myself. But even it showed that they're doing those fecal transplant implants. Let's not go into that tonight. We went to it in the nutrition workshop. But the fecal transplant study showing that if you take the fecal matter from a healthy gut and you put it in an unhealthy gut, you can do things like reversing obesity, diabetes. It's pretty insane. So the bottom line is like we have to look at our gut and what we're eating for our brain health. It's stupid to think that these two things are separate. They're not. We know the gut brain health connection is so important, and it's wild that we thought otherwise not that long ago. I remember getting into a fight with a pediatrician in Boston. He didn't want a kid on probiotics because he didn't like putting bacteria in a kid's body. And if it was I would have, now that I'm sassy and have been practiced long enough, I would have sent him on, we didn't have Amazon back then, but I would have sent him Dr. Perlmutter's Brain Maker because that's when it came out. I would have gift wrapped it and said, hey, Merry Christmas, you have some light reading to do because it is that important in that study. So we really got to start looking at nutrition with people who have brain issues. All right. So what another thing besides nutrition, besides, your gut, what else can we talk about to prevent that unnecessary stress? I can't emphasis enough how important outlets are. And the funny thing is I have my two best friends sitting here because they always film these. Actually, funny enough, I know most of you guys are at home today. I encourage all of my patients. It is cold out. It is messy out. It's a stress workshop. And by the way, if you guys send me comfy selfies, dogs, babies, cats with you, you'll get a little bonus. Maybe we'll do a bonus raffle for tag us and have a selfie watching this tonight. It would be fun. But I was encouraging all my patients, get comfy, watch this workshop in a non-stressful environment. I'm like, dude, stay home, watch the workshop, get your workshop credit. Because, we need our own time. And I have three people here, right? We all have different outlets. We couldn't be more different. If I did the outlet that my friend does, I might hate it. So, finding your outlet is so important and discovering what makes you happy, what makes you less stressed. So exercise. Now, this is the one thing that everybody, so I guess this is the one disclaimer to the thing I just said, to the fact, exercise is so important for brain health. It is we talk about proprioception, which is the same mechanism. we feel better when we exercise. It is known fact that exercises, I can't even go to the Move Well workshop. We'll talk about the studies on this. But if there's one thing you can do to really help your brain and also obviously help your spine is exercise, and even just starting by putting your workout clothes on is a good start. Going for a walk, walking with friends. I mean, it's so, so important exercise. Now, I love my gym. I go to a little gym called Iron Village, plug to Doug, not too far from my office. And I found my little fit family. It's a boutique gym. It's heavy lifting. It's my jam. I'm Eastern European. We like to pick things up and put things down. Now, the other side, I'm staring at two runners right now who love their run club, love running races. I think they love it. I know one does, but that's her clarity. That's how she clears her head today. She loves long distance running. That would make me miserable. Actually, she did get me to run 2 miles with her once because she offered me tacos at the end. That's just not my thing. But I love football. I love camaraderie. It's a great way to meet people. So I always joke that I'm a Labrador Retriever. I need a snack or a ball motivation to run, and that's pretty much it. So any type of exercise, whether it's yoga or classes, whatever it may be, just go, just sign up. And if you need a buddy, I'm down. Let's go. It's just not running, not running. But I would totally, if you need a buddy to the gym, let me know. Music, whether it's listening, singing in your car, singing in the shower, or playing an instrument, it is the one thing that stimulates your entire brain. Playing an instrument is so cool. What was that movie where the dude, Soul, that Pixar movie? It's kind of dark, but the whole point is when you're playing music, you're in this other realm, and you have to stay present when you're playing music because it's like breathing. It ties you to the now. It's so good for us. It's such a good outlet. And even if you have a horrible voice, sing in the car, man. Have a good time. Singing is actually really good for your mental health. Reading, maybe there's something inspiring, something fun. Your genre might be different than someone else. It's really good for you before you go to bed to unwind. Draw, paint, create. Right side of the brain is great too for stimulation of the right side of the brain. Any of that where you're in the now, you're knitting. One of my patients my patients are big knitters, and that's them in the moment. That's how they kind of unwind. It's so great. Joining a group, whether it's a religious group like a church or a synagogue, or an artist group, whatever your thing is, find people, like-minded people. And we are not supposed to be isolated. Humans are not supposed to be isolated. We are social beings, and being around other people, especially women, is so important for our hormones and our health and our happiness. Taking a class, sign up for we have some cute cooking classes and stuff in Beverly. So, or taking a music class, really good for you. Journal, if you're a journaling person, writing, and also I love traveling. Traveling is my way of decompressing. I love traveling. I love learning about cultures. I love trying to figure out a train system when I don't speak the language. That doesn't stress me out. That's one of my love languages. I love traveling. I love laying on a beach somewhere. That is my jam. So I love traveling. Maybe you don't, but that is important. But also, if you don't love traveling, taking breaks is still important. Giving yourself a break, giving yourself a rest, which I know I've been doing a lot more since I broke my hand and learned the lesson the hard way. So, and then volunteering. What's funny in the 12-step program? What's the last step? Giving back. And they say that if you don't complete all 12 steps, then you're going to rebound. And that 12th step is the most important step, is giving back and volunteering. I love my Rotary Club. I'm a part of Beverly Main Streets. I'm a board member for the Chamber of Commerce. And we just walked in the Rotary Club. We just walked in the Santa Parade, and it was a blast. I love it. Giving back is such a great way to appreciate what you have, whether you're volunteering at like Beverly Bootstraps or Soup Kitchen. Giving back is such a great way to appreciate what you have, and volunteering your time, which is so awesome. It makes such a difference, especially for kids. Like exposing kids and having them volunteer is so good for them, and also letting them be stressed. Because if you're not stressed as a kid, you're not going to know how to deal with real stress as an adult. So letting them figure things out is so important too. But bringing your kids to volunteer. I love when my god kids come with us for the bell ring for the Salvation Army. Oh, and if you're in Beverly was it Saturday the 20th, I'll be bell ringing at Henry's at 10. You'll be able to hear us because Leslie and I love doing karaoke. Not well. I think I scare the firefighters next door. But we sing Christmas karaoke. She can sing. I cannot. So you'll hear her sing more. While we're bell ringing. And I'm telling you, that kind of giving back is incredible. It's so incredible. More preventing unnecessary stress. I don't, it's funny. I think when I created this slide, this was a little more controversial. I think we all know now that social media is terrible for us. I don't think another study needs to come out saying that being on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, is not good for our health. And Unplugging. I love, oh my gosh, you know what the best part about Morocco was? Not being able to use my phone. They only are on the 3G system. So our phones just didn't work and their Wi-Fi was terrible. But do you know how amazing that was to unplug and not checking my phone or checking Instagram? It was so great. It was so good to unplug. Not having that screen time about 90 minutes before bedtime is recommended. With kids, they just got to shut it off. It freaks me out that I heard that some of the teenagers like to sleep with their phone under their pillow. Not good for radiation. You wonder why they're tired all the time because you're not getting deep sleep if that EMF is hitting you in the face all the time. Um, Sleeping, getting good night's sleep. And if you're not sleeping, you gotta like really dive into your health, man, and find out why. If you're sleeping less than 4 hours a night, you're in fight or flight. There's studies that show that your cortisol is high. So really getting that good sleep, women do need more sleep than men. I think men's more 7 to 8, whereas women's more 8 to 9. I know. So let us sleep, man. Let us sleep. Do not wake us up. And then, of course, delegating, knowing when to say no is so important. You don't need to say yes to everything. People understand. And I think this was a really big lesson for myself. I would just rack my brains out to show up when, even when I was not feeling good or just not feeling it, I would say yes. But learning how to say no is huge, a huge, huge part of trying to limit some of your stress because it is okay to say no. It is okay to flake on people if need be. Not all the time because that's kind of rude, but like, you know what I mean? It's okay to say no. If you need a Friday night where you do absolutely nothing, go for it, you know? So learning how to say no is huge. Great book, just to take a little like pause, is a very famous book. It's called The Four Agreements. If you haven't heard about it, you definitely should check it out. This is a very famous book. It's been around for a really long time. And I feel like everything really comes down to these four things, right? One is be impeccable with your word. Two, don't take anything personally. Three, don't make assumptions. And four, always do your best. I really think this is the most amazing advice that anyone can give. And it's funny because I did a lot of Al-Anon back in the day, and so much what they say is just kind of a recreation of what other people say. Like, be impeccable with your word. We used to say what you mean what you say, but don't be mean. Two, don't take things personally. They say you could if you're bad at that, you put a Q-tip in your pocket, because quit taking it personal. I used to always take it personally when someone would fall out of care, but dude, things happen, man. Life happens. And sometimes it's not about you, man. If you need to hear this from me, it's not about you. Like, people are going through stuff, and if they're in a bad mood, it might not be because of you. They might not be mad at you. Maybe they're going through something. They just haven't told you about it. Giving people the benefit of the doubt that everyone's going through something. I love that every year I teach this. Every year I use my favorite analogy, my favorite story. And this is the one thing I love to ask patients the next day, hey, what did you get out of the workshop last night? I would say this is the number one thing I hear. You get cut off on the highway, right? Quit taking it personally. Maybe the dude had to go to the bathroom. We've all been there. We all understand what it's like when you're driving up 120 and holy crap, I got to poop. You're driving up the highway. You got to do everything you can to get home in time, right? So anytime someone cuts us off on the highway, we always laugh and go, maybe they really have to go to the bathroom. It's a great way to kind of decompress, because if someone cuts you off on the highway, is is your anger affecting you or affecting the person that cut you off? Whose health is that affecting? The person who cut you off or you? So being able to diffuse the bomb by saying, oh, maybe they have to go to the bathroom. Maybe they do, man. I think, shit happens. Like, no pun intended, pun intended. So, putting yourself in that different mind frame about not taking it personally, like, or making assumptions. I guess that kind of ties into the second one too. I love the saying, assuming makes a you know what out of you and me. And always doing your best without self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. I love the saying from Al-Anon, which is progress, not perfection. We all are a work in progress, and there's no such thing as perfect. All right, so financial stress. I think this is a big one for all of us, especially this time of year. And I literally think the key, if you guys want my advice, the key to financial stress is knowing where your money goes and budgeting. I give a shout out to one of my favorite couples that comes in here. They do a sit down marriage. I don't think you're gonna have to remind me, guys, if you do it yearly or quarterly. They do a budget meeting, the two of them together, which I think is the cutest thing. They do a couples budget meeting. And I love that. They know where their money goes. One of my best friends who is so good with money, and he does just fine. One of the coolest things is he does PowerPoints, Excel spreadsheets. He knows where now this is a little much, but I wish I was this good. He does Excel spreadsheets of where his money goes. And so he knows where every cent goes. He knows if he's wasting money, he knows what's going on. And I don't know. I think that's really cool. I have a budget. I need to redo it. I think that's going to be one of my goals for the beginning of the new year. But it makes it so much less stressful when you know actually how much money you're going to have going forward, where your money is going, what you can cancel, especially going through subscriptions and taking out the waste. It's pretty amazing. So making a budget, knowing where your money goes, I mean, knowing a roadmap is something, it's like this workshop, right? If I didn't teach this every year for the last, like, what, 13 years, I would want to come in and practice. The more I practice, the easier it's going to be, right? So if I know where my money goes, I'm going to be less stressed about it. Very cool. And don't spend what you can't pay, especially paying cash. I know everything's very expensive right now, but getting yourself in debt is one of the, I've been there, done that, especially in college. Getting yourself out of debt is so hard. And so not spending stupidly and frivolously, even in small stuff, investing in important things like your health, because you can have all the toys in the world, but if your health isn't good, good luck. Maybe less expensive. I remember after my divorce, I learned that being a minimalist was huge for me. And so I have my smaller condo and I drive my car that's not expensive because I noticed that if I kept my life at a lower expenses, I can focus on things I love, like travel but that's who I am. And so if I really did like cars, maybe I would get a more expensive car and maybe focus on that and then take out, I don't know. It depends on you. But what I'm saying is not spending money frivolously. We're all guilty on that. Instagram makes tons of money on that. So does TikTok. So watching out for those things. And then of course saving. A lot of people don't save. It's so important to put money away, whether it's an IRA, it's good for, or 401k. It's really good for your taxes too. So do it. My my accountant's going, yes, do it. IRAs, 401ks. And if you don't know a lot about it, talk to a financial advisor. I actually have a really good one. I can tell you who it is if you shoot me a message. And then saving on small things, like I said, staying away from those TikTok and Instagram ads that are trying to prey upon you, especially during the holiday season, because you know you're going to order it and it's going to be terrible anyway, and not spending money frivolously. Super, super important. Small things add up. Um, the next thing is the love story. It's so fun to teach this every year. I think I do the same story every year, and I don't care. The same guy with the four agreements also has the book, Mastery of Love. And anytime one of my friends is getting down on herself or himself about, finding the love of his life, I always go back to the same story about love. And I'm going to tell it because somebody watching this might need this tonight. One of my favorite stories that comes out of this book is an analogy, and it talks about filling your life with love. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship love, it's the love around you. So the story goes, if you're really hungry, right, and you have no food in your kitchen at all, and somebody comes to your door with a greasy slice of pizza, and he says, hi, I will give this to you. And by the way, you're hungry for $100 and you've no food in your house. Will you take it? Let's compare that to another situation. Your kitchen is full of food. You have tons of food, right? More food than you can imagine. Your fridge is full, your cabinets are full. And the same man comes up to your door with a greasy pizza. This greasy pizza, like not a good one. Not like I love, not a good piece of pizza. let's preface that. And says, for $100, I'm going to give you this piece of pizza. What are you going to say to them? Absolutely not. Get out of here, right? If you fill your life full of love, meaning good friends, a job that you love, a house that you love, great relationships, when someone comes to you and offers you a relationship that, isn't great, you're more likely deflected when you have a house full of love. So that's just one of my favorite stories. So we're going to get to the second secret word, which is tree. I love it. Tree. You guys like, where's she going with this? I don't know. You'll see. I always have a method. And that takes me to my second place, which my last section, which is my third section, which is how to deal with stress when it happens, because shit happens. We all know this, right? So we're going to talk about a few techniques that I use. And actually, I love this because this is going to remind me of some things that I love using, and we're going to go back to it. So first, we're going to talk about grounding. Second, we're going to talk about breathing and meditation. We're going to talk about mantras. I'm actually going to give you some supplements that work for me when I go through horrible times and I just need something to calm me down. There's a couple supplements that are really good for it and things I recommend to patients. And then we'll talk about adjustments because we can't talk about stress response and not talk about adjustments. And duh, I'm a chiropractor, so you're going to hear about it. All right, so it's all about grounding. We hear about this all the time. I was actually at a women's event earlier, I think it was earlier this year, and the woman was like, we're going to do a grounding thing, and this is a new cool grounding technique. And I'm laughing, going, I've taught this every stress workshop for the last like 10 years. But it's good to hear because it's good to listen to and remind yourself that this is one of my favorite grounding techniques we're going to talk about. But the first thing, before we get to my fun grounding game, we're going to talk about breathing because you know what's ridiculous? And I can't believe I say this every year, and every year it's still the most relevant thing you do. You're really stressed out, someone cuts you out or you cut you off on your car, or you have a deadline, your boss pissed you off. Take 3 deep breaths. It is insane how much that changes. So let's do this right now. I'm going to have you breathe in through your nose for a 3 count. We're going to hold it and then we're going to let it out at a 5 count. So I want everyone sitting up straight at home, and we're going to take a nice deep breath in for the 3 count. You guys ready? Sit up nice and straight, because good posture, unless you have good posture, if you're like this, you're not getting a good breath in. So make sure you have the shoulders back, sitting on the, like, you know, on your sits bones. And I want you to take a deep breath in for 1, 2, 3, hold it. And then breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5. Also important, aim for here, not your neck. Breathe in right through your stomach. Ready? In, 2, 3, hold it. Tie yourself to the present. We'll talk about it in a second. Breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do one more because I want you guys to get chilled out at home. If you fall asleep, it's not my fault. I'm very entertaining. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, hold it. Tie yourself to the present. Breathe out 2, 3, 4. Is good. Now I'm relaxed too. I feel like my snore. Honestly, guys, don't you feel better? Of course you do. Breathing, deep breathing. We don't do that enough. It's really pathetic that we need to have things called breath work classes, right? But we do, because no one's breathing properly. We're all stressed out. Deep breaths are so important. Now we have books on this, like breathing. So just remember to take those deep breaths. It's also really important for your pelvic floor, especially as women. My other favorite little fun thing to say to people when they're meddling in the future, because we cannot, if you're stressed about something that hasn't even happened yet, or you don't even know is going to happen yet, look down at your feet and ask yourself, hey, Dr. Jamie, where are your feet? Are they in the present? No. Are they in the past? No. Stop trying to walk there. And it's a great reminder that you can't control things that you can't, or you can't stress about things you can't control, especially in the future. Then, all right, guys, let's play my favorite grounding game, which actually is funny because I actually really like playing this when I'm walking to work, because I think there's some really good things going on. And, you know, especially when I'm surrounded by, I walk to work every day. I live downtown. I work downtown. And this is one of my favorite grounding exercises. If I'm having a stressful day, I'm walking downtown. And the first thing, so it's called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is funny because this is the grounding exercise that woman taught at that women's event that I went to. And I'm like, oh my God, I already love this one. But she changed it up a little bit. I like my way better because she didn't do the last one, which is my favorite one. So, and I think it's important not to leave number 1 out. So first thing we're going to do, I want everyone to do this at home, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5. Pick 5 things you can see in this room. I see my chair. I see my table. I see some people I love. I see my computer. So pick 5 things. The next one is the 4. What do you feel right now? Do you feel your hands? Do you feel your sweater? Maybe you feel the chair, maybe your dog. I want a selfie if there's a dog in your lap or a cat. I want a selfie, tag a line for Life Chiropractic, and we'll share it. Maybe we'll do a raffle from that too. 3 things you can hear right now. I can hear the cars going by. It's raining, so you can hear the water on the ground being hit with the car. I can hear the air conditioning, God, I wish. The heat's on. I can hear that. I can hear the humming of my computer or the TV. So what do you hear right now? Pick 3 things. And then 2 things you can smell. Hopefully it's not the dog in your lap, but 2 things you can smell right now. Maybe you guys are cooking at home. Maybe smell the leftover dinner. Maybe it's your partner who needs to shower next to you. I don't know. Pick 2 scents. I love doing this when I'm walking to work because you can only imagine like 5 things you see, 4 things that you feel, 3 things that you hear, 2 things you smell. When you're walking into downtown, you really get those senses. You have a lot to choose from. And then my favorite, which she left off when I went to the women's event, is one good thing. Name one good thing about yourself, right? Name one good thing about yourself. And I love that because we need that. That self-talk is so important. I give one of my dudes I work out with, one of my firefighters who I love, but my God, he's like cursing himself out. And I always walk up to him and I'm like, dude, your body's listening. Please just self-talk is you can do it is much more effective than you suck. Remind yourself you can do it. Look in the mirror saying you can do it. I know it sounds really silly, but it really does help. Self-talk is so important. Your body, your cells are listening. There's a really cool study. It was a long time ago where this guy looked at water molecularly and he took pictures of the water molecularly and he used good words. I got it, dude. If you guys know at home, put it in the comments. I'm sure you can Google it. Water studies when it comes to he yelled at the water. He said nice things. The water changed molecularly when he was talking to it. Wild. So your body, and guess what? You're made of mostly water. So if you don't think your cells are listening, the body keeps score is a very, very famous book. Self-talk is so important. Speaking of self-talk, let's go through my mantras. Now, I've always wanted to create a mantra app because I feel like I love making mantras. Ask my poor quarterback when I made her say that I am a badass quarterback 3 times when she was in her head. It was really funny. I didn't even know her back then. Now she's my buddy. But I was like, repeat after me. I'm a badass quarterback. And by the way, we did come back and win that game. So I just want to put it out there. That does work. So mantras, steal one from me if you need to. This time of year, actually, my favorite one this time of year is the first one, which is it all gets done. It always does. We don't know how. It's funny. It should say it always does. Wow, that's probably been typoed like that for years. Holy moly. All right, so at home, it all gets done. It always does. One thing at a time. Sometimes it's 1 second at a time. Sometimes it's one breath at a time. Sometimes it's 1 minute. You go through a horrible loss and you're mourning someone, it's one breath at a time, right? Or you've got bad news, whatever it may be. And like I said earlier, Year of the Snake is definitely here. I'm hearing some weird stuff this week about like metaphorically shedding skin. One day at a time, like I said, this too shall pass. Oh, I should have bought it like when I first moved here forever ago, when we used to have the Hallmark store before the paper store, they had a little porcelain toilet and it said on it, this too shall pass. And I'm sure people were offended. They stopped selling it. And I'm so mad because I thought that would have been the best gift or anything that someone going through a really hard time, because how do you not laugh at that? It's so funny. I love it. This is temporary. I think I shout out to my massage therapist Melissa. I think I used that a little bit too much the other night when she was working on my freaking shoulder, and I'm like, it's just pain. This is temporary. This is temporary. But this is temporary if you're going through something like one of my patients like house remodels. It's really funny. This is going to be beautiful. One of my patients is remodeling his restaurant. It's taking a long time, which we knew. And like, this is temporary. Your mantra is, this is temporary. It will be beautiful, right? Through stressful things. Breathe in and out. I mean, that was one of my yoga teachers, was her mantra. She's like, just think, breathe in and breathe out when you breathe in and breathe out. I heard on a podcast this weekend was wonder, not worry. Mark Hyman interviewed Maria, is it Menudo? She's a talk show, no, newscaster, something like that. I don't watch that crap. Maybe it's like Entertainment Tonight or one of those things. Okay, thank you, Menudos. And she survived some serious health issues, and this is her mantra, and I'm stealing it because I love it. Listen, and it's on. Dr. Hyman just interviewed her, and it's incredible. I thought I was going to listen to the first part. I ended up listening to the whole thing, and her thing is wonder, not worry. So her thought was, I wonder if the doctor is going to call me with good news today, and then he would, instead of worrying about the news. And it's pretty cool. I wonder if I'm going to get that raise. I wonder, if my office is going to do well next year. I wonder if I'm going to find that perfect employee. I wonder if I'm going to fall in love, whatever it may be, instead of worrying that you're never going to get there. It's pretty cool. Love that. My other favorite is, I cannot stress over things I can't control. That is one of my favorite ones. I use that all the time. Don't stress over things you can't control. And there's a lot more, and be creative. Like I said, I'm a badass quarterback is another great one, but I don't think that applies to many of you. Um, and other good ones are, how will it, if you're going through something really hard, it's, how will this serve me? How will this make me grow? And what have I learned? And I've learned myself, and I've read this many times, if you don't learn your lesson, God will keep throwing it at you. So make sure you learn your lessons or you're going to keep going over it over and over again. I had a horrible dating pattern, especially in my 30s. And it wasn't until I learned that lesson that I stopped attracting that same person over and over again. So learn your lessons. Very important. They'll keep trying to teach it to you. The universe will keep trying to teach it to you. Another great quote: the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. So we have that choice. And that is so powerful. You can choose to be stressed about something or not, because the stress response is only supposed to last about 15 minutes. Anything longer is you're carrying it on. So use one of these mantras and take a deep breath and move on. Here's some really great supplements I've used. Now, be careful. I've heard that if you're on antidepressants, you got to be careful about ashwagandha. So definitely talk about your doctor. That's not my scope. But I love ashwagandha. My God, that is such a great supplement. These are all great supplements for if you're going through a stressful time. I've actually taken ashwagandha before big football games. It does not make you tired. It just chills you out. My God, it's great. And because sometimes I get like the stomach before my big football games. I always joke that I'm now wired for anxiety during the national anthem. Either I'm at a Bruins game and you'll see me like, wait, no, I'm not playing. Because we always joke about that. But taking an ashwagandha actually does help me calm down. And actually, I play better because I'm not in stress. I'm not in fight or flight. So the other thing we're going to talk about, the last thing we're talking about is obviously, chiropractic. One of the most powerful things that a chiropractor does, and we've known this even way before the prefrontal cortex studies that started in like what 2016. We knew without a doubt there's a plethora of research, because I know I go over this with chiropractors, that we somehow decrease, well, I know how, the sympathetic nervous system. And we have some really cool studies on this. And I go through the sympathetic nervous system with chiropractors, and then we go through really cool research papers, whether it's decreasing blood pressure on gold standard studies, why they call me the poop wizard, because we decrease, we help with motility because of decreasing stress. I have a wand and a mug somewhere around here. Oh, I think my dinosaur's seen. Oh, here it is. I have my Harry Potter poop wizard mug, because we shut down the stress response. So how do we do that? So if we have a misalignment of the spine, it's called a subluxation. And the big thing with subluxation, if you look at a spine model, it looks like puzzle pieces. They look like puzzle pieces. When your spine has those proper curves, they line up together like puzzle pieces. Or my favorite analogy is a zipper. And if the zipper does not line up, right? If you're wearing a jacket right now and those prongs don't line up, what happens to the zipper? It gets jammed up, it gets stuck. And I'm sorry for those who think that exercise will help with this problem. It does not, because you can brush and floss the cavity all you want. It is not going to fill the cavity. So when you have a subluxation, there's no stretch or exercise alone that's going to fix it. That's why I accidentally got adjusted twice this week. Yes, I do get it. It's funny. I love it. My friends who are chiropractors in town, we're all good friends. And so we're always adjusting each other. And with our job bending over people all day, it is heaven sent. And I'm so blessed to have chiropractic brothers and sisters. But I also felt a little calmer after, which makes sense. We'll go over that in a second. So if that zipper is stuck, right, because it's misaligned, the only thing that's going to create motion back in is to realign it, just like a gear, right, to get that motion. But we're learning with chiropractic studies is that in that joint, especially in those, we call them the zygapophyseals. You know what? I don't want to bore you guys. The joints, the facet joints of the spine. Let's make this really easy. We have muscles and tendons and joint capsule. We have little muscles, and in these little muscles, they're not made for movement. They're made to sense stuff like posture. When those muscles don't activate these sensors and also the joint capsule called proprioceptors, we're in trouble. How do you activate proprioception? Is through movement. So when the joint doesn't move because it's misaligned, we're not getting the healthy stimulation called proprioception. If you want to hear more about this, I literally just did the brain and spine workshop, and we can go over this in very much detail. So when you have healthy movement in the spine, and this is why exercise is so good for stress, but you got to get adjusted. You got to make sure all those doors are open, right? We call it the electrical panel. You got to make sure all the panels are open so you're getting full reception to your brain, right? So proprioception, if you have healthy movement throughout your spine, it actually shuts down your stress response. If you have subluxations throughout your spine from a lifetime of either not, traumas and not getting adjusted, you're not getting full reception to your brain, which is really interesting. One of the big misconceptions I hear all the time, oh, doc, I blew my back out lifting a laundry basket. And then I laugh and look at them and say, oh, cool, I have diabetics. I had one soda today. I know I'm funny. I think I'm funny. What causes diabetes? Horrible choices over a long period of time. What causes these subluxations, the back to go out or the back to go out? Subluxations, misalignments, bad choices over a long period of time because it's traumas. So anything from big traumas like car accidents, playing football. I just had to use that because football. I do miss playing football right now because I'm off season. But car accidents, sports we played, falls we have, right? Falls on ice, whatever, fall skiing to micro traumas. This is the bigger problem. Computers, cell phone use, um, repetitive stress. It is so hard to keep a neck curve these days because of that category. You know, back in the day, man falls off horse, gets adjusted, good to go, right? Goes back to the farm. Nowadays, y'all go back to this. And I had to buy a freaking Nerf gun. You're probably wondering why there's a bow and arrow on my wall. I will shoot people in my office that look down at their phones. And Healthy Movement Workshop, we talk about the data on that. So if your guys are letting your kids do this on their iPads and their phones and you wonder why they have anxiety, maybe you should take that screen away and limit the screen time and get them out of that posture, right? Super important. So when we adjust somebody, this is so cool. We actually restore the proper alignment. When you restore proper alignment, you get proper movement. We know that. Great example of do I have subluxations or do my kids? Upper cervical subluxations are really easy to detect. Can you turn one way and turn the other? Can you tell I got adjusted today? Look how amazing my range of motion is. If you can turn one way, but you can't turn the other, classic C1, C2 subluxations, which are not good for the upper cervical joint. Uh-oh, am I getting funny comments? I see some smiles. Do I want to know? Anyway. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, cool. Have I shot somebody in the audience? I'm not, who is it? Oh, yeah, I'm not sorry. And you're the one who taught me how to shoot, kind of, so it's your fault. So I'm just saying. And then, of course, when you decrease the stress response, you know, it is so important. We already talked about in the fight or flight system. You know, it's funny. We actually know now, I don't know if I put it in this slide, but we do know why we shut down the stress response through proprioception. Because in 2016, when Heidi Havoc's crew in Denmark took four neurologists who didn't care about chiropractic and they adjusted the C1, C2 joint versus sham on an EEG scan, they saw that they stimulated the front of the brain called the prefrontal cortex 20%. And that's the part of the brain that down regulates the stress response or the amygdala. Of course, we have some cool studies on this. And would it be me if I didn't show you guys? So here's one of my favorites from 2017. So this was right after that brain study came out. They actually tested, they did blood tests. It's actually a meta-analysis. So it's a system. This is the highest ranking of medical journals, which is really cool. The systematic review or the meta-analysis is the highest on the totem pole when it comes to research. So without a doubt, this is a research paper that looked at other research papers. And what they wanted to find out if a chiropractic adjustment or spinal manipulation, though I hate the word manipulation, actually changes biochemical markers in the bloodstream. And they did. One of the conclusions was it may influence cortisol. No shit, because we decrease the stress response, we're shutting down cortisol. But also, funny enough, things like oxytocin increase, which is really cool. I always think of the moms in my office. It's really important, especially for women. Oxytocin is really good for our hormones in general. Really cool stuff. And then, of course, I love talking about HRV because I see so many first responders, shout out to Dave, that have high stress jobs. My first responders, my paramedics, my firefighters, my police officers have the highest stress. No one calls these people when they're, and my nurses, oh my God, sorry, my army of nurses, I forgot about you guys, and I promise I won't again. But these are jobs that people don't come to you usually when they're not in an emergency. So you are the guy that they're fight or flighting at. So you're constantly in this high stress. So if you can't go home and get out of your cortisol, your fight or flight, we know that that's not healthy. This is called HRV, is your body's ability, the heart rate variability to get your heart rate from fight or flight to parasympathetic, which is that rest or digest. So the bigger the HRV, and a lot of my biohackers and athletes are now with their whoops or their aura rings, you can actually calculate it now. The higher the HRV, the better. And you actually notice that after adjustments, that increases. I love that we have studies on this now. We have studies that show that we help increase HRV. So we're a really great cheat for recovery, for athletes, to get them out of that fight or flight. So by accident, whether you feel better or not, because I would say going to the chiropractor for pain is like robbing a bank and stealing the pens, we shut down your fight or flight. So it's more important to see a chiropractor, not just for pain, boring, but for calming down your stress that we're all guilty of. I needed some good stress response decreases today from my chiropractor. And if you're working out, even more important because you're not getting full benefits of your workout if your spine's all jacked up. So very cool studies, which takes me to my last secret word is farm. Now, for my non-Tay-Tay fans out there, the reason I chose these three secret words is because if you have been living under a rock, and I should probably pull down the flyer. Go onto our Instagram page, go onto our Facebook event page, which you probably are watching this. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, pop over after this workshop. Check out, we're having a Tay-Tay Partay on Sunday. Any excuse to take over Paul's brewery and embarrass the crap out of him. We are going to put edible, non-toxic, vegan, gluten-free glitter in his beer, which is going to be hilarious, and he's not going to like it because we are celebrating Taylor Swift's new documentary. So I'm inviting you. It's we laughed. It's a private party, but I'm literally inviting everybody. We're going to show the first two episodes for a documentary that is being shown on Friday, or that's being released on Friday. We're going to have friendship bracelet making. We're going to have a Tay-Tay Partay on Sunday. Hence my secret words, because that is her Christmas song. And I hope to see you guys there. It's 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. We're going to have snacks. It's going to be a party. Come on, let's take over Paul's brewery, Gentilly Brewery, and have a great time and horrify Paul and all have fun, right? Because is it really a party for not horrifying poor Paul? I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite quotes. Who doesn't love Winnie the Pooh? Winnie the Pooh reminds me of my grandmother, so it makes me smile. And I'm going to leave you with this. Promise me you'll always remember that you're braver than you believe, you're stronger than you seem, and you're smarter than you think. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the stress workshop. You just took an hour. How did I do? An hour? An hour. Just about an hour out of your crazy, crazy end of the year holiday season to dedicate it to yourself, which is the first step. So take a deep breath. You have now tools that you dusted off, or you got new tools in your tool belt to get you through this holiday season. Just remember, if you had a rough 2025 year of the snake, that means the year of the horse 2026 is going to be that much better. So I got you through this. Yeah, you got this. And I'm proud of you. Keep going. You're almost at the end of the year, and I'll see you at the New Year's workshop. Have an awesome holiday season. I will see you Sunday at the Taylor Swift party. Oh, and I just got an email from Santa himself. I guess he's dropping by the office next Wednesday, 3 to 5. Uh, he needed an adjustment. Duh, sleigh rides. It's kind of rough on your back. So I'm going to get him adjusted around 3, and then he's going to stick around till 5, and he's going to hang out with the kids. If you guys want to come by, if you're a patient of ours, because it is patient hour, so we are a private practice. So if you're a patient of ours and you want to come by and get a picture of Santa, doesn't matter how old you are. Come on, do we judge age in this Disney Tuesday office? Not really. So come on by, and hopefully I will see you then. If not, I'll see you in the office, and go get adjusted. Thank you guys so much.